Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliy al-azim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad. وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين. We continue our discussion about adab. One of the things that our hadith have emphasized on in gaining courtesy and good manners or adab is learning and spending our time with scholars, because this is something that you have to learn, and naturally those who have spent their life in learning, studying, they can help us in this process. For example, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam said, "Jalis al-ulama yazdat ilmuk وَيَحْسُنْ أَدَبُكْ وَتَزْكُو نَفْسُكْ." You must sit with ulama, which means you must spend time with ulama whenever you get chance, whether it be by attending lectures, classes, or if even you can have, more private time with them. In this way, three things happen. One is yazdat ilmuk, your knowledge will increase. Either they are teaching you something directly, or even, for example, if you have a normal chat, a cup of tea, for example, you are spending your time having a tea or a meal, you travel, you hear things that would increase your knowledge. وَيَحْسُنْ أَدَبُكْ, by seeing how they treat people. If someone asks question, how they answer. If someone is showing no respect, how they react. When they are traveling with people, how they treat their fellow travelers. So there are many things that in practice and in reality, you can learn from them. وَتَزْكُو نَفْسُكْ. Tazku from zakat means piety and purity. Your soul becomes pure. One of the best ways for improving our manners and improving our traits of character is friendship, is being with good people. When we are with good people, automatically the good manners that they have would either come to us or at least would encourage us to become like them. It's like when we sit next to someone who has put perfume, then he shakes hands with us. Our clothes touch each other, then we also start having the same good fragrance. One of the beauties of coming together in centers like this, in masajid, in meetings that you meet mu'mineen, is that we learn from each other. Sometimes we even don't notice. Sometimes we don't notice how our children can benefit from meeting other children who are brought up in good families, they have good manners, they pick up all these good manners automatically. In another hadith, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam said, إِذَا زَادَ عِلْمُ الرَّجُلِ زَادَ أَدَبُهُ وَتَضَاعَفَتْ خَشْيَتُهُ لِرَبِّهِ. When someone's knowledge increases, his behavior, his manners improve. They become better. because a great problem is ignorance. When you know, your manners improve. But also your respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your understanding of greatness of Allah that makes you feel very humble, your positive fear, the awe that should be there in your heart for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also would increase. And this is exactly what we have in the Quran. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Ulama are the people, scholars who have, of course, absorbed their knowledge and acted upon their knowledge, not those who have learned and then didn't act upon it. Those who have acted upon their knowledge, these are the people who have khashya with respect to Allah, positive fear, respect, awe towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is another hadith from Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. There is a beautiful quotation from a person called Amir al-Sha'bi. He has mentioned some of the beautiful sayings of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam that for him they very much outstand. They are very special. He says, تكلم أمير المؤمنين بتسع كلمات ارتجلهن ارتجالا. He says Amir al-Mu'mineen has said 9 sentences that he said without preparation. It's not that, he was writing a thesis or writing a composition or writing a letter, taking time. No, all of a sudden, he said these 9 sentences that he says the fountains, the springs of balagha after this are dried out. There is no way someone can say something more eloquent than this. He mentions 3 of them with respect to whispering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with respect to munajat, 3 things with respect to wisdom, and 3 things with respect to adab. So 9 things altogether, 3 for munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 3 things with respect to hikmah, 3 things with respect to adab. So although our discussion is about only adab, but I thought maybe I share with you all of this, and maybe you can write down these 9 sentences from Amirul Mu'mineen, which have been considered as most outstanding. With respect to munajat, whispering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he chooses these 3. Amir al-Sha'bi has chosen these 3. إلهي كفى بي عزا أن أكون لك عبدا وكفى بي فخرا أن تكون لي ربا أنت كما أحب فاجعلني كما تحب. Many times you may have recited this in sajda, last sajda in salat or other occasions. Amir al-Mu'mineen says to Allah, my Lord, it is sufficient for me as a matter of dignity that I am your servant. It is sufficient for me as a matter of pride that you are my master. You are what I want. Please make me what you want. Very beautiful. So this is just 3 sentences, very short sentences, but very deep and profound. With respect to hikmah, wise sayings, he chooses these 3. First, قِيمَةُ كُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا يُحْسِنُهُ. One night I mentioned this hadith. The value of every person is measured by what he or she knows properly. What do you know properly? What can you do properly shows your value. So our value very much depends on our knowledge and understanding. وَمَا هَلَكَ امْرُؤٌ عَرَفَ قَدْرَهُ. This is very important, and inshallah with respect to adab, I will come back to this sentence again, but for the time being, the translation is this: no one is destroyed if he or she knows his or her limits. If I know my limits and I observe my limits, I would not put myself in a situation that would be damaging me, that would be putting me into difficulties that are not tolerable, would not damage my reputation. If my level, for example, as a scholar, is to teach, for example, young kids, then I shouldn't go to give lecture to the public. I should know my limits. I remember the first year that I studied in Qom, and I had about 1.5 years studies in Tehran part-time, so was finishing almost 2 years of Hawza. The head of our Hawza encouraged us to go for tabligh. I said, I have only studied by now about 2 years. 1 year in Qom, and about 1 year was equal to what I had studied in Tehran. He said, you should go for tabligh. It's a responsibility, and if you don't go from now, when you become older, it's more difficult for you to start. From now you have to practice. But go just to a primary school. Go to a village and speak to children. You don't need to go to a university and give lecture, but go and do something based on your level. This was a very good lesson for me. So I went to one of the villages near the city of Bam, northeastern Iran, and I gave some lectures to village people and also to children in the school. And I learned that I should not stop what I can do, but also I should not do more than what I can do. After 2-3 years, there were some requests, for doing more. I went to one of great ulama who is still alive. May Allah protect our ulama. And we said, there are lots of requests. He said, you should not let these things disturb your studies. You are like a person to be trained to become a doctor. While you are still studying to become a doctor, you cannot go to a surgery and start operation. You have to know what is your limit. So, Amir al-Mu'mineen puts all these things together in one sentence. مَا هَلَكَ امْرُؤٌ عَرَفَ قَدْرَهُ. The one who knows his limits, his capacity, his talents, what he can do, he would not be destroyed. All the problem comes when we go beyond our capacity, or we ignore what we can do and we do nothing. Both of them harm us. The third wise saying of Amir al-Mu'mineen, which this man Amir al-Sha'bi says has been very outstanding, is Al-mar'u makhbu'un tahta lisanihi. Every person is hidden under his tongue. What does it mean? maybe in English it doesn't make sense when you say someone is hidden under his tongue. It means that it is by what someone says that you can discover his personality. When someone has not yet spoken, he is hidden. He's covered. As soon as he starts talking, those who are knowledgeable, those who are experienced, those who are insightful, they can analyze him. So you have to be very careful when you speak, because as soon as you start speaking, they analyze you. So a wise person would never say things without thinking, without assessment, without preparing himself for the criticism or questions that may come afterwards. Not that you say something and then after that you start solving problem. There are people who say things, then later when they are asked why, either they deny, they say, I didn't say this, or I didn't mean this. They bring excuses that make everyone, laugh. Is this what you said? This is not what you could have meant. So Amir al-Mu'minin says, everyone is hidden behind his words or her words. Okay, so far we said 6 things. 3 about munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 3 things with respect to hikmah, now 3 things with respect to adab. Please listen carefully to what Amir al-Mu'minin is summarizing with respect to how you can gain adab, you have good relation with other people. Of course, you cannot have everything, but this is what this man has selected. Otherwise, we have already mentioned many hadiths from Amir al-Mu'minin about adab. Umnun ala man shi't. Umnun ala man shi't. Umnun comes from man. Oblige whomsoever you want. Have favor, be kind to everyone that you want. What happens? Takun amira. Then you would be able to win them, to rule them. When you want to be praised, if you want to be loved, if you want to enter hearts of people, be kind to them, have mercy upon them, have favor upon them, oblige them. Umnun ala man shi't takun amira. Because annas abidul ihsan, people love those who are kind to them, benevolent to them. Somehow they even follow them. Second thing, wahtaj ila man shi't takun asira. Need anyone that you choose, then you become his captive. If you show kindness to people, they become under your control. If you show need to people, if you take your hajat and request to people, they rule you and you become asir, you become captive for them. One of the things that people who have power and money and position do is they take control of people by giving them something, but actually gaining more. I told you once, I think, this story that one of the caliphs asked someone to teach his children. Someone was a knowledgeable person, And he said, please teach my teachers. Not police, of course. They didn't used to say police. Teach my children. This man said, I don't want to teach his children because I don't want to be associated with these unjust people. So they said, okay, if you don't teach, you should do only one thing. Have one meal with us. One meal. He said, okay. Then they prepared a very nice meal for him. Something royal standard, something that Khalifa offers. Everything that you can think was there. And this man was poor. When he had this one luxurious meal, his heart became soft. So if he was saying no, they said no. They said, okay, you need another meal. So after some time, he became a servant, not just a teacher of the prince. He became a servant for them. Everything they wanted, he was doing for them. So when people see that you resist, you refuse to be under their control, sometimes they try to bring temptations by having favor upon you. And then little by little, you become captive. وَاسْتَغْنِ عَمَّنْ شِئْتَ تَكُنْ نَظِيرَهُ. Beautiful. Try to be free from needs for anyone. Anyone. Suppose someone is a billionaire. Okay? If someone is a billionaire, if I act and behave in the way that make it very clear for him that I don't have any expectation, I don't want anything from you, then I become similar to him. He cannot rule me. He cannot tell me do this, do that. But as soon as I have some desire to take something from him, I have to be very careful. I have to listen to him. I have to be obedient. So, if you want to be similar to someone, cut your needs from that person. Then you would be like him. You would be similar. So, these are 9 sentences of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam with respect to munajat, with respect to hikmah, with respect to adab. Our focus is on adab because we are discussing these days about adab. So one of the things we learn from this hadith about adab is if you want to have a balanced behavior, if you want to act properly, if you want to have positive, constructive relation with people, don't expect what they have to come to you. Don't go after what they have and say, okay, I can maybe get this from them, I can get this from them. This is not good. And in the end of the day, this would lead to your humiliation. Be a real free person. Be free. Depend on yourself. Depend on your efforts and trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I should not depend on anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we all need each other. That's not a problem. One day I work for you, you give me my salary. This is not a problem. One day, for example, you may work for me, I give you salary. One day I buy from you, sometimes you buy from me. These are not problems. Because this is mutual, and I can go to someone else, you can go to someone else. But if I want to take something from you because you are richer than me, you are higher than me, and in this way I humiliate myself, that is not good. Nothing replaces our honor and dignity. Another hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is that if you want to be in possession of good manners, you must be very careful with respect to your obligations, your duties. We have many duties. We have duties in our religious life. There are obligations that we have to fulfill. Our prayer, our fasting, our charity work, zakat, khums. We have to do all these things. We have duties with respect to our family, with respect to our parents, our spouse, our children, our relatives, with respect to neighbors, with respect to our workplace, the duties that I have towards my employer, the duties that I have towards my boss, my colleagues. Adab requires us to fulfill all our responsibilities. This is the bottom line actually, that first you fulfill all your responsibilities properly. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, وَمِنْ أَدَبِهِ, means وَمِنْ أَدَبِ الْمَرْءِ. One aspect, one requirement of courtesy and good manners of a person is أَلَّا يَتْرُكَ مَا لَا بُدَّ مِنْهِ. He would not fail doing what he must do, what is necessary. So we have to open our eyes, we have to open our ears and try to understand, what am I supposed to do right now? What am I required to do in this context or that context? Unless we are careful and we are very interested in understanding, we would not understand. We keep failing and failing and failing. You have to be very careful. Inshallah, I should say something also in Farsi, so we continue this discussion inshallah tomorrow. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us good morals, virtues, and good manners inshallah.